Commander Replay, we try out some Massacre Girl versus Sharuum the Hegemon, Bolas the Ravager, and Daretti Scrap Savant. Find out who gets massacred and who doesn't, next on Commander Replay. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. We have 2 new Patreon supporters in Keith Kennedy and Jonathan Leithauser. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some Massacre Girl today. Take a look at our opening hand. We've got Deserted Temple with Expedition Map. I like that. Let's keep. We've got Ramp in Solemn Simulacrum. We've got some token makers. I'm feeling pretty good about this. So Massacre Girl is 3 black for a 4/4 menace. When it enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Very interesting commander. You have to read it a couple times, but essentially a board wipe on a stick, as long as there's some lower toughness creatures on the board. Once a couple things start dying, then most of the things on board will start dying. So, pretty interesting commander to have a board wipe out of the command zone. So, yeah. So to me, I feel like it's a pretty spicy commander. However, when actually constructing the deck, it does turn into kind of a mono-black tokens and aristocrat style deck that we've seen before. I'm sure this deck list would make Jolt very proud. So yeah, I hope to do justice to mono-black aristocrats today. The Sharuum opponent lays down an Anvil of Boggart, and that's going to be interesting. Players have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card, then discards a card. Anyway, that's going to bring it back to our turn. We draw, and then we'll have to discard a card. What are we getting rid of? Man, I like everything in our hand. I don't really want to get rid of anything. We're pretty far away from Newscraft Mob, but that does make tokens for us. I guess Overseer of the Damned, it's cool, but we are extremely far away from that one. Let's play the Deserted Temple before wheels happen, and then we'll pass and crack the Expedition Map at some point. So, taking a look at what our opponents are playing. First up, we have TGHSC playing Sharuum the Hegemon. Ooh. Sharuum is essentially the go-to artifact combo commander before Breya, and a pretty good one at that. Definitely a boogeyman of the format for a period of time. Doesn't show up quite as much as it used to. In my opinion, I think it's still pretty good. Maybe a little bit slow at 6 mana, but 6 mana ETB? Sign me up. Bring an artifact right into play? Yeah, it seems pretty good to me. So it is a bit surprising that we don't see more of Sharuum. Really, the issue is probably that all the Sharuum players probably just switched to Breya when Breya came out, which is probably the reason that it doesn't show up that much anymore. But yeah, still a very good commander and one that we'll need to be careful of. The Sharuum player does lay down some stuff, by the way. They lay down a Voltaic Servant. At the beginning of their end step, they can untap 1 target artifact. Seems pretty good. And a Basalt Monolith. Ooh, yeah, that's going to make them some extra mana. Now, one thing I'm very excited about our deck is that I'm running Gate to Phyrexia, which at the beginning of our upkeep, we can sacrifice a creature to blow up an artifact. I've never really played mono-black aristocrats before, or mono-black tokens, so I never get to use Gate to Phyrexia, and I'm pretty excited about that today. I hope we find it, because I would love to start shooting down some of Sharuum's stuff. That would be super sweet. Sharuum is pretty much the opponent you want to see if you are running Gate to Phyrexia. And a Basalt Monolith for the Daretti. Oh boy, all the artifact ramp. Well, now we kind of just need a Vandal Blast, but we don't have a Vandal Blast in mono-black, and we're not playing any of the cards that would let us steal one out of our opponent's deck, so that's all a sad face. And here comes Daretti into play, getting it down a turn early off of the Iron Mirror and the Basalt Monolith. So, recently I was posed the question, do I think that Planeswalkers should be legal from the command zone? My answer to that is no, and the reason why is because, especially with decks like Daretti, I've seen this play pattern come up a lot of times where when you have a Planeswalker out of the command zone, it's really easy to get it down earlier than its converted mana cost, so that was a turn 3 Daretti, it's a 4 mana commander, and when you have a Planeswalker as a commander, they're really hard to get rid of, so like, in a couple turns, we probably will be worried about trying to prevent the Daretti from activating its ultimate, and that's a problem that seems to come up. When you go like Soul Ring turn 2 Planeswalker, it's a pretty big problem. So yeah, my opinion is that, especially with the 4 mana Planeswalkers, they're just too hard to get rid of early in the game, especially if you accelerate them down early, which is why I don't love them out of the command zone. So at the end step, we're going to crack the Expedition Map, we're going to go get our Cabal coffers. Now, we are running Westvale Abbey in this deck, which is another card that I'm very excited about getting to use. So hopefully we'll get the opportunity to do that. I do feel a little bit sad that I had to burn the Expedition map right there and was not able to get Westvale Abbey, but hopefully it'll show up sooner rather than later. That's going to bring it back to our turn. We're going to get that Anvil of Bogarden trigger. I'm going to discard the Swamp right here. We seem to have plenty of lands currently, so we'll play the Cabal coffers again before any of the bad stuff happens, and then I'm thinking Dark Ritual into Solemn Simulacrum might be some good ramp. Opponents are already off to the ramp game, so I think we should probably be doing the same thing. So play the Dark Ritual, get Solemn Simulacrum, get a Swamp, and we will pass turn like that. And actually, based on the creatures that are on board right now, we're looking pretty good. So there's a 1 toughness creature in this Iron Mirror, so if we cast Massacre Girl, that would kill the Iron Mirror, kill the Solemn Simulacrum, kill the Voltaic Servant. Sharuum coming into play. Ooh, that's a Myr Battlesphere. So, yeah, Myr Battlesphere coming into play, making some tokens. With the Battlesphere and the tokens into play, no, we should be able to wipe the board with Massacre Girl, so that's probably going to be our line of play next turn. Unfortunately, the way the turn cycles are set up right now, I really don't want to let Sharuum untap, but Sharuum also has creatures which could kill the Daretti, so I have very mixed feelings about all of that, but yeah, I think Sharuum plus Battlesphere plus this Mirror Servant is all a little bit too good, in my opinion. Although I think we do need an Urborg to come down before Cabal Coffers will start producing mana. Actually, if we play Swamp next turn, I think Cabal Coffers breaks even for us. Is that right? It's been a while since I played Mono Black. Gotta count these things up. Yep, well, there's a Damnation, so I guess we're not going to worry about that. We will draw with the Solemn Simulacrum. It's a Promise of Power. I like that. Actually, I guess we do have the Buried Ruin also, so we can get the Expedition map back with the Buried Ruin and potentially find our Westvale Abbey that way, should it come to that. Continuing on our opponents, by the way. Next up, we have Cadus playing Nicole Bolas, the Ravager, and I am not in love with this Bolas deck, because he says it only runs 2 wheels, but he seems to have them every single game, and I always end up wheeling all the good stuff out of my hand, which makes me very sad. Which is probably a reason that we're going to want to try to cough things out of our hand as quickly as possible, I think, since the wheel will be lurking. Also, there's some discard in the deck. We can handle a little bit of discard, not a ton. We do have things like Rise of the Dark Realms, Living Death, those type of things, which can get stuff back. So, yeah, hopefully we don't get obliterated by wheel and discard. And Daretti's going to use its minus ability and get back the Scarecrow. You can sacrifice Scarecrow and draw a card, or you can return target artifact creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. This can bring it back to our turn. Anvil of Bogarden will continue to trigger. I'm thinking right here, I want to get that Myriad Landscape down at some point, but what are we discarding? All of these cards are good. So, like, I know exactly what's going to happen. If I discard this Newscraft mob, then we're just going to get wheeled and we're going to lose Rise of the Dark Realms. Like, I know that that's going to happen. But I guess if we get wheeled, then we just lose it anyway. Alright, so I guess we're pitching Newscraft Mob. I really want to get that Myriad Landscape down, but it's so slow. And like I said, wheels and discard, we need to start casting things out of our hand before we lose them. So we're going to play the Swamp right here so that our Cabal Coffers will break even on mana and actually produce something for us. No, Deserted Temple doesn't help yet. One more Swamp and Deserted Temple should do some good things for us. We're going to play Open the Graves. Based on the colors at the table, I think that should have a pretty easy time sticking around. Grixis and Mono Red, not great at blowing up artifacts. Sharuum could definitely have some stuff to deal with it, but 1 opponent with removal is better than 3 opponents with easy removal on enchantments, so I like the chances of Open the Grave sticking around. There's a Phyrexian Arena for the Sharuum. They're actually pretty low on cards. They're down to 2 at the moment, so that's good news, and they play a Library of Lang. So, yeah, Sharuum, very low on cards. They'll get to look at 2 more next turn, but also keep in mind that Sharuum gets back any artifacts in their graveyard. There is a Mirror Battlesphere in there, so, repeated access to cards in your graveyard is very good. Pretty much the same thing can be said about Daretti. Thran Dynamo coming down for the Bolas opponent. Oh, man, I still haven't finished announcing opponents yet. And finally, we have Chaotix 2075 piloting Daretti Scrap Savant, a very good mono-red Artifact Matters commander. They've already got a Paradox Engine in the graveyard. That's pretty scary. Spine of Isha. Ooh, Spine of Isha is really good in that deck. We will want to exile the graveyards if we can. We do have Scavenger Grounds in the deck. Preferably, we'd like to use Rise of the Dark Realms first before we do that. But once the Daretti machine gets going, it is very scary and very hard to stop. Here comes a Voltaic Servant for the Daretti opponent. Also seems very good. They have a Basalt Monolith as well, so Daretti and Sharuum, both on the heavy artifact plan. Opponents can activate the Gaia Reach Sanitarium. We draw into a Demonic Tutor, is very spicy. I think we're going to pitch the Myriad Landscape right here. As much as I like it, it is very slow. I don't foresee us having the tempo and bandwidth to be able to play that tapped and then tap 3 out for it the following turn to get more swamps. I just feel like we're a really long ways away from that. Now, interestingly, Sharuum lays down Library of Lang, which means that if Bolas plays a wheel, they can actually choose to discard to the top of their deck instead of to their graveyard. So they can choose the cards they want to keep in a wheel, which is really powerful. It's going to bring it back to our turn. We draw an Empty the Warrens and an Ashnod's Altar. Getting tricky now. What are we getting rid of? Empty the Pits is one of our finishers. As much as I don't really want to... yeah, I don't love discarding that. We don't really have a way to get that back. Man, everything else in our hand is so good. We need to make the land drop, so I really don't want to get rid of that. Ashnod's Altar is very good and sort of irreplaceable in the deck. I guess it's Empty the Pits. We have other finishers in the deck, ones that are also more mana efficient than what that one is doing. But I think right here we're going to try the Cage Sun. Now, just the opposite of what I said for the Open the Graves. 3 opponents with red and white should have a pretty easy time blowing up this Cage Sun, but we're just going to hope to get a little bit lucky. Sharuum was low on cards, and there's already enough artifacts in play that I feel like artifact removal may have already been used if opponents had any, so, you know, reasonable chance Cage Sun will stick around based on that, but Cage Sun is the type of card that does get shot down a lot. And for good reason, because it can win games. Someone said, should have named white with Cage Sun. Really confused the viewers. I think I'm all set on that. Or green, since there's no green at the table. Sharuum the Hegemon coming back to play. Myr Battlesphere? I mean, as long as they keep getting Myr Battlesphere, we have easy board wipe with Massacre Girl. Potentially Myr Battlesphere, a card that needs to be in our deck. Oh no, going for the Voltaic Servant. So based on what's in play right now, Massacre Girl would not kill everything in play. We need to find a 1 toughness creature currently. But if we untap, I think we just fire off the Rise of the Dark Realms and hope for the best. Especially with the Battlesphere in the graveyard. Again, like I've said, wheels and discard. I don't want to sit on the Rise because we may just lose it without being able to use it. So I think our best bet is really just to fire it out there early and see if opponents are able to answer it. And even if they do, I think we should get a bunch more creatures back with Open the Graves. So as long as this Cage Sun sticks around, I'm feeling pretty good about our position. There's a Rhystic Study. Annoying, but does not blow up any of our stuff, so that's good at the moment. Elixir of Immortality, less good there. That means opponent can reshuffle their graveyard. So we would lose a couple creatures. We would lose the Mindclaw Shaman and the Magus of the Coffers. But on the other hand, they would also have to tap out their Mana Vault to do that at this point, which that would really subtract a lot of value from Mana Vault if they had to do that. So opponent pluses the Daretti. Ooh, God Pharaoh statue, no! Oh, well, I hope we still have enough mana to cast Rise, because we may not now. Haven't done the math. That's 6, 7, 8, 9... We would need a swamp off the top. Opponent's going to Enlighten Tutor before the God Pharaohs comes into play. Okay. Yeah, God Pharaoh statue is a pretty good card. It can just wreck certain types of decks. I haven't played with it enough to know, like, exactly how good it is, but in the little bit that I've seen it, it has done some work. If you want to slow your opponents down, that is a really good way to do so. So opponent pluses the Daretti. Scratch that when I said it earlier. Daretti back up to 6. Ideally, we would find Swamp or Urborg off the top of our library. And then we'll have the mana for Rise of the Dark Realms. And we're all going to lose 1 life at the beginning of the end step. There's that Swamp off the top. Discard the Sangar Autocrat. That's perfect. Things just went perfectly right there. We got the Swamp we needed, and we drew a creature which we can discard right into the Rise of the Dark Realms. Opponents are tapped out. Does not look like any counterspell mana other than this one mountain and a Mana Vault open, so I think it is Rise of the Dark Realms time. So we're gonna use the Deserted Temple on the Cabal Coffers and retap the Cabal Coffers. Gets us 8 mana. Here comes Rise of the Dark Realms. Let's see. We cannot cast anything else in our hand, so we might as well pay for the Rhystic Study. Seems like a good plan. Although things may change depending on what cards we get right here. We get many cards. Mindclaw Shaman. Let's fire that at the Grixis opponent. Seems like a good place for it. Mirror Battlesphere trigger. Overseer of the Dam. What are we shooting? These Voltaic Servants are kind of scary to me, honestly. Sharuum is kind of safer in play. So I guess we will shoot... let's shoot the Daretti's Voltaic Servant. I think they're a little further ahead than Sharuum at the moment. Singular Autocrat and Solemn Simulacrum trigger. This will get us another land, so if nothing else, you know, we're getting a lot of value here, so even if these creatures don't stick around for us, still just gaining value. Gaining value is always good. So we get a Swamp, Autocrat triggers, Overseer triggers, Battlesphere triggers, Mindclaw triggers. Opponent's got a Narset Partner of Veils. Each opponent can't draw more than one card each turn. Bad for our Promise of Power. Also bad for the... Ooh, and Philip Bogart in play. Maybe that's why they're holding it back. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them. Put them into your hand. Put them... very interesting. No cards that we can cast. I mean, the Grixis opponent was the one that I was most worried about having a board wipe, so we might be in the clear right here. Based on what opponents have, Daretti not known for running tons of board wipes, at least... in the Darettis I've seen. We did get the Magus of the Coffers, by the way, which is very good if we can untap with it. Especially with the God Pharaoh statue down. It'll make it really hard for opponents to do the sequence of plays that they would need to do to blow up our board. Here comes a Solemn Simulacrum for our opponent. Yep, paying 6. Let's see if they want to pay the 1 extra for the Rhystic Study. And that will trigger the Newscraft mob, so that'll give us a 2/2 zombie. Opponent gets to untap an artifact at the end step. Anvil of Bogarden continuing to trigger for our opponent. Here comes a Cole Bolas God Pharaoh. This could be potentially pretty damaging if opponent hits us with the exile 2 cards. Newscraft mob will continue to trigger. So opponent's discussing trying to figure out who's got a board wipe. Yep, that's the part of the game we're in right now. We have 19 creatures in play, so... right now I am considering if we Demonic Tutor for like a Zulaport Cutthroat. Oh, yeah. Target opponent exiles a card from the top of the library until they exile a non-land card. May pay it without paying its mana cost. Looks like a Grave Betrayal. Ooh. That changes things a little. If opponent plays Grave Betrayal. Yeah, here comes Grave Betrayal. So... Grave Betrayal means that we can't just like Zulaport Cutthroat into Thrilling Encore or something like that, because that's what I was planning to do. Basically taking a page out of the book of what Jolt did to me the other day in an EDH Lounge game. But that's not going to work if Grave Betrayal is on the battlefield. So we may have to try to combat damage the Bolas player out of the game. And they're going to use the Elixir of Immortality and shuffle their graveyard, gain some life. So at this point, it's up to Daretti. A Blasphemous Act would shut us down pretty good right here. Hoping it's not that. Opponent is going to go for their Spine of Isha, though, and even blowing up a Cage Sun would actually set us back further than I would like. So Spine of Isha coming into play, Grave Betrayal triggers, because opponent sacrificed an artifact to get that into play off the Daretti ability. So opponent will get a creature at the end step. Opponent's going to blow up our Open the Graves. Okay. Actually, yeah, ooh, with Open the Graves out, yeah. Well, Open the Graves probably would have just won us the game if we had the chance to untap with it. Sadly, we do not. But we still have the Cage Sun, and I think we can get a lot done with the Cage Sun, Demonic Tutor, and a Promise of Power. Also, the Ashnod's Altar will let us do many things as well. Oh, well, that's an All Is Dust, so... there's the removal. We will have a bunch of artifacts left over. Is there anything that we need to do first? Eh, it doesn't look like it. Chaotic says, nah, hold my beer, I can take it down. Opponent said they meant to hit the Cage Sun. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. They misclicked when they clicked the Open the Graves. Because Cage Sun will survive the All Is Dust, but Open the Graves would not have survived the All Is Dust. Now, ooh, hey, there's a Grave Betrayal in play. And opponent's going to get control of pretty much all of these things. Ew, that's not good. That is not good. Things about to get weird right here. We may just have to wipe the board, honestly. So we're going to hit for the 1 damage at the end step, and Grave Betrayal triggers like 15 times. Oh, this is bad. Does get Daretti out of play, so that is good news. Opponent will have to recast it. Will take them a little bit of time to do that, or at least they'll have to tap out, but they can do the Sacrifice Spine of Isha thing, and that's real bad. That's a bad place to be. But Great Betrayal now out of play. And everything coming back to play under the Bolas's control. Oh, opponent's going to hit us with Mindclaw Shaman. That's not good. It's not good. They probably go for the Tutor. Means that we're going to be on the Promise of Power plan, I think. Scrap Trawler is interesting. That's still in play on our side. We can get Expedition Map back, which can get us all the lands that we need. I like that. So we got a pretty interesting game going so far. A lot of interesting effects flying around. Hopefully this Overseer doesn't get us right here. Assume they probably go for the Battle Sphere just because that one's big and scary. Yeah, okay, they're going to go for the Battle Sphere, so we won't get like a ton of damage in, which, you know, is a little frustrating. But we can still do stuff with this Scrap Trawler, so that's good. Somehow opponent didn't use the Mindclaw Shaman on us. I didn't see what happened exactly right there, but also somehow Expedition Map is back in our hand? Oh! I think my computer got a little slow with all those triggers going off, but when the Mer Battlesphere got shot, it brought back the Expedition Map because it was the only legal target in our hand, which is actually pretty cool because now we can do some real stuff. So for now, I'm just going to discard the Genesis Chamber, since we should have a pretty easy time getting that back. Pitiless Plunder, another creature you control dies. Create a... Ooh, mana is good. We like mana. Oh, they couldn't use the Mindclaw Shaman because of the 2 extra in the... from the God Pharaoh statue. Ooh, nice. So God Pharaoh statue saving us right there. All right. Let's get Expedition Map into play. Oh, it's 3. 3 is a lot. New Scrap Mob will trigger one time. Crack the Expedition Map. So I've had this app come up a few times with Sun Titan, but getting multiple Expedition Map triggers in a game can be really powerful. Like when you have some cool lands in your deck, being able to search them out 2 or 3 times is super, super strong. Urborg gets us more mana. Westvale Abbey gives us a sweet, indestructible flying creature. Notably, Westvale Abbey will not survive the Massacre Girl ability. So maybe we wait a second on that one. I think we're just going for the Urborg right here because we need the mana. Play the Urborg. So let's use the Cabal Coffers. Use Deserted Temple. Untap the Cabal Coffers. Use the Iron Mirror while we're doing this. Actually, I think I'm going to sit tight for just 1 second. So just in case we want to spend any mana in the second main phase, which I think we will, because we can definitely do some attacks first. So I think we want... Do we want the Pitiless Plunder in play whenever another creature you control dies? Yeah, we're going to have some creatures dying. New Scrap Mob will trigger. Pretty sure we want the Ashnod's Altar in play. I guess we'll wait on the second... We'll wait till the second main for that. Seems like a good time for Demonic Tutor, probably, based on the available mana that's left. Thinking it's Zulaport Cutthroat time. So let's do some attacking. I want all of these things to survive, so I'm just going to swing into the Daretti. Daretti takes a hit for 10, goes down to 30. That'll bring it to our second main phase. Then let's use the Cabal Coffers. Gives us 10 black mana plus 4 more that we can get. So I think the first thing is going to be Ashnod's Altar, since that can give us even more mana. New Scrap Mob will trigger. Start stacking some tokens, getting some mana. Oh, Pitiless Plunderer will trigger. Scrap Trawler will trigger, although no 0-cost artifacts in the graveyard. I think we need to get the Zulaport into play. Start sacking more tokens. And we are going to burn some time off the clock now. So auto all these triggers. We'll sacrifice the Solemn Simulacrum. Opponent will get a token out of that. Ooh, with the Overseer of the Dam, we can trigger... Yeah, we can trigger more stuff from our opponents. Let's get the Genesis Chamber in play. I think that can do some wacky stuff. Draw with the Solemn Simulacrum. We get a Trading Post. Genesis Chamber comes back to our hand. Cast the Genesis Chamber. Let's continue sacking stuff. Sacrifice the Iron Mirror. Get the Expedition Map. Expedition Map is back. Ooh, this is all ridiculous. Let's Promise of Power. Ooh, we draw more stuff. Okay, so now I think we... Massacre Girl. Actually, yeah. Let's Massacre Girl. We'll sacrifice the Scrap Trawler. Let's just sacrifice the Mirror Retriever. Get the Solemn Simulacrum. Now I think we go for Massacre Girl. And this should wipe the board. Put Massacre Girl on the bottom, Genesis Chamber on top. That should give us an extra... Get some extra mana right there before we do all this. So Massacre Girl comes in. Things survived? Oh no, the trigger's still in the stack. Ha! Many triggers going off. Many more triggers going off. So, trying to work our way through this stack of triggers. Unfortunately, Zulaport Cutthroat died before all the goodness could happen. We have a couple Zulaport triggers in there, but not as many as I was hoping. But we've gotten rid of all the other creatures in play, so that's not a bad place to be. And we've got open mana and more things to play, so I think we're going to keep doing that. Play the Solemn Simulacrum. Ooh, 6 mana Solemn Simulacrum. That's a lot. Get a Genesis Chamber trigger. Get another Swamp. Sacrifice this Mirror. Get the Soul Ring in. Get the Worn Power Stone in. And I think I'll get the maybe we'll wait on the Expedition map. Pass the turn like that. Didn't get as much damage in as I was hoping. I miscalculated with the Zulaport Cutthroat. I thought the Massacre Girl was all a single trigger. Apparently, it's separate triggers. Although that doesn't seem right with the way that it's worded, because it's all one block of text, which means that I think that should all be a single trigger, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that. But anyway, I thought everything would die all at once and Zulaport would see it all, and that would kill do lots of damage to everyone at the table, but that's not how it played out. Here comes Sharuum the Hegemon. Get back the, what are they getting back? Genesis Chamber will trigger for them. Yep, getting back the Battlesphere. So, Sharuum into play, Battlesphere in play, a bunch of Mirror tokens in play. They get a couple extra off of the Genesis Chamber. We may need to replay Massacre Girl next turn. We'll see how that goes. Oh! Opponents got by force. Destroy 7 artifacts. So, we lost some stuff. Now, good thing we still have trading posts so we can get some things back. Wow. But they got rid of the God Pharaoh statue, and that's going to help us out a lot. I think Battlesphere went down again. Yep, Battlesphere is down again. Ooh, that hurt a bit. Will take us some time to rebuild. Daretti coming back to play. Unfortunately, they've got the Daretti Spine of Isha thing going. Yep, gonna sacrifice an artifact, bring an artifact back. What are they doing? They sacrifice Spine of Isha, get the Basalt Monolith back. Use the Forge of Heroes. Put a loyalty counter on their Planeswalker. Let's bring it back to our... Ooh, Vampire Hexmage is nice. We will discard a Swamp, play a Swamp, get the Thran Dynamo in. Thought about wiping right here, but I don't think we need to just yet. Let's get Reassembling Skeleton, get Trading Post. Oops, doing all this not the right way. There we go. 11 mana, get Trading Post. Get Hexmage, get Expedition Map. I think I'm going to sacrifice the Solemn Simulacrum to return the Cage Sun. We draw a Swamp. Cage Sun is back. Replay Cage Sun. Choose black. I think that's about all we can do right here, so I think we just go attacking. I guess at the end step we could Buried Ruin something back to our hand. Get another artifact back. Seems pretty good. So we get in for 5 to the Grixis opponent, and we'll pass like that. So right now we're set up to kind of just value out for a while. Unfortunately, Daretti is always a problem. We may sacrifice the Hexmage. We'll see what the Sharoom's going to do right here. Maybe they take down the Daretti. Here comes an Erebos. Ooh, life gain's out of the question. And also, opponent can start drawing. They tap their black mana, not the best right there. They should have left some black untapped. They could draw more, although I guess they still have 2 card draws available to them. And at this stage in the game, that seems pretty good. Here comes Phyrexian Metamorph. Let's see what this copies. Probably Sharuum. Get back. Mer Battlesphere. Copies the Cage Sun. Interesting. Won't do them much good until next turn, although maybe a little bit. Any land, right? Okay, yeah, so they can get some card draw going with the Erebos. And they're going to go ahead and do that. Sharuum coming our way. That's a sad face. We go down to 36. 6 Commander. Can't take too many hits off of that. Ooh, here comes a Black Sun Zenith X5. I guess that means we shoot Daretti. Bolas the Ravager coming into play. Yep, we're going to lose a Swamp right here. I'm okay with that. It's going to hurt other opponents worse than us, I think. Actually, I guess not with Erebos. So discard our Swamp. Probably going to go for the Westvale Abbey right here with the Expedition map. Pretty excited. Don't know if we'll have time to flip it over, but we'll see. Here comes a Strionic Resonator for our opponent. We're going to play a Solemn Simulacrum. Get a land. So they're going to get 2 Solemn Simulacrum triggers. Okay. There are things much worse than that. Especially at this stage in the game. Okay, so at the end step we're going to do some stuff. First, use the Expedition map. Get the Westvale Abbey. Next, we are going to get our Ashnod's Altar back by sacrificing the Buried Ruin. Then we will get the Reassembling Skeleton back. That's going to bring it back to our turn. That's an Ogre Slumlord. Discard the Swamp. Play the Westvale Abbey. Okay. I think with that, I think we have, like, infinite mana? Does that sound right? Play the Ogre Slumlord. Actually, scratch that. Use the trading post. Sacrifice a creature to return an artifact. Get the Genesis Chamber. Sacrifice the Reassembling Skeleton. Play the Genesis Chamber. Play the Ogre Slumlord. That'll trigger the Genesis Chamber. Play the Ashnod's Altar. Get back the Reassembling Skeleton. I think we can make, like, almost infinite tokens. We'll run out of black mana eventually, but we can make a lot. So we can keep looping this until we run out of black mana, which is not happening anytime soon. We're generating more colorless mana as we go. This is a neat little interaction. I had not anticipated this specifically when I put all this stuff in the deck, but, you know, I figured some combination of these things would get us there. So yeah, we'll pass like that. I'll do more activations at the end step. I don't want to just go all day without having haste here. If our opponent's going to respond, then they're going to respond. Also, I'm on a bit of a time crunch right now, so I'm trying to get this game finished up. I have to be somewhere in about 20 minutes, and I have not showered yet. Opponent's going to Sphinx's Revelation for X10. Sure. Does increase the number of tokens needed to kill our opponent. Here comes a Soul Ring. Sure. Here comes a Spine of Isha. Let's see what this is going after. Can I go after our Cage Sun? So I guess we're going to have to do this 8 more times. Cage Sun goes down. Our tokens are now 1/1, so we will want to get the Cage Sun back next turn so that we can pump them back up. Here comes an Ugin the Ineffable. Colorless spells cost you 2 less. Destroy target permanent that's 1 or more colors. We're in pretty good shape. Opponent can use the exile mode. As long as the opponent doesn't have a board wipe, we should be able to get it right here. Sculpting Steel for our opponent. Cage Sun. Cage Sun. Recast Daretti. Let me guess. Sacrifice Solemn Simulacrum. Get back Spine of Isha. Opponent gonna sacrifice an artifact. Get back the Spine of Isha. What are they targeting? Ooh, the Cabal Coffers. Alright, well, time to use the Cabal Coffers. And right at the end there, we flipped over to the Westvale Abbey, sacrificed 5 creatures. We have a lot of things in play right now. Well, there's a Necropotence. I believe we will have to discard that, though. We'll discard the Ancient Craven, keep the Necropotence. Just in case. What do we need? We need to Trading Post to get back the Cage Sun. Play the Cage Sun. Cage Sun is back. Choose black. Do some attacking. Attack like that. Hopefully this does it. I think I counted everything correctly. I'd be really upset if I didn't. Opponent says they were going to go off on turn 6, but shuffled away their win condition. That seems bad. Opponent's going to sacrifice their Solemn Simulacrum, gain a life, draw a card. Don't know if that's going to do much. Oh, Sharuum survives at 10. Sad face. Thought I had all that figured. Well, almost exactly the amount that opponent Sphinx's Revelation for, so that's annoying. Here comes a Tezzeret. I'm sure that's bad. Disciple of the Vault. Uh-oh. Opponent does not have the sack outlet yet. That's good. They can probably find it with Tezzeret, though. Here comes Sharuum. Yeah, they can find a lot of things with that. Looks like Battlesphere is still their best option. Ooh. Yep, opponent can get the sack outlet. There's a Sculpting Steel. What are they going for? Ashnod's Altar, maybe? Lost track of it. It moved. They get another Sharuum. Oh, is that an infinite loop? Yep, comes back, copy Sharuum, goes back. Yep, okay. Okay, yep. Do we have anything that we can do? Nope, this is just gonna loop infinitely. Ugh. Yeah, I thought I had all the damage measured out right, but apparently I did not. Not entirely sure what went wrong in the counting right there, but... So yeah, we're gonna scoop it up right here. Opponent's got the infinite thing. Disciple of the Vault will eventually just kill us. no need to play that out. As far as the deck played really well, and if I piloted just a little bit better, we would have easily won that game. I think the game was probably winnable on turn 7 if I had known the right sequence of cards to go for. I don't play a lot of mono black aristocrats, so it's not a playstyle that I'm super comfortable with. So because of that, I didn't make probably all the best choices, but I think we could have won the game on turn 7. Because we didn't, we had to go a little bit longer. But also we got into the weirdness with Zulaport Cutthroat and the Massacre Girl trigger, so that was a little bit of a sad face. Honestly, I think, man, we just went like for like a Massacre Worm or something like that. I guess no, Massacre Worm wouldn't have killed our opponents. Anyway, so the deck played really well. I didn't pilot it to its fullest capability, but some really cool interactions we had going there with the Genesis Chamber, the Ogre Slumlord, the Sack Outlet, and the Reassembling Skeleton. That was pretty fun. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.